Hey folks, it's Tom, your free will prepper. So, what's up? Wednesdays are going away, so that means it's time, I guess, to start working on some cars. So, my first goal here is to get my truck going and fixed. It's been sitting here since fall, but I need to get that thing out of the way so I can back this Pontiac out and get to work on finishing it up. So, I'll show you what I have going on. Basically, I haven't touched anything under the hood of this truck except for hooking up the jumper cables occasionally for 220,000 miles now. Power essentially was new. So 2002 F150 XL. It's got the suicide door cab. I think it's the extended cab or whatever. But it's just got the little 4.2 liter V6. It's been a great engine. This thing's got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles. Honestly, I'm not quite sure how many, because the odometer quit working like 10 years ago. I guess I could probably plug a scan tool in it and see if it'll read the mileage. But it's probably 500,000 miles or something. I drove this thing for years and years and years all over 3 states. Then when I started my own business doing networking and consulting, I drove it all over the place. So, buku miles. I've never really taken very good care of this truck. I fixed what's broke. One time I went 40,000 miles without changing the oil. I've just used and abused this truck. I've rode it hard, put it away wet, and you know, it's always started, it's always worked. But she's having some idle issues, running a little rough, and she's got, I don't know, every code that's possible. I think when I plug it in, it's like 23 codes, you know, so it needs a little work. Now, I found this by watching another video on YouTube, because I could not figure out how to get the back 3 bolts out of this upper plenum. But I did, so I was looking, and then I saw how to do that. And then I saw on the video this guy had this exact same problem and what his problem was. So I'm glad that I looked, or I probably would have put this all back together and never noticed this. Last time I put plugs in this at 100,000 in 2005. So that's the only time I've ever done them. So yeah, they're pretty worn down. You know, those electrodes should be real close together, and they're kind of worn down to little nubs. The plug wires were bad and brittle. So I'm tossing those. They're just not in great shape. They're not original. I replaced those also in 2005. The AutoZone I bought them at, couldn't find them in the computer, so I had to go buy new ones. And I got these ones from Advance, because those Autolite Professionals had a lifetime warranty, I believe, but maybe not. But I got these. These definitely have a lifetime warranty. Just the DriveWorks plug wires. Got me a serpentine belt, and I got these little plastic clips here. And I'll show you where those go. Those are the important part. And of course, I've got the isolator bolts that go bolt the lower intake down, and the gaskets that go under that lower plenum and to the upper plenum here. So here's the plenum that comes off, or upper intake, whatever you want to call it. The isolator bolts go in here and bolt this guy down. That big gasket goes around here. Your other gaskets go down there. I know these were leaking from spraying a little brake clean around them and here in the idle change. So those gaskets are definitely bad. But usually these isolator bolts go bad too. These are just rock hard, and they're not sealing up at all. So that's usually what goes wrong there. On these back 3 bolts, they're buried under the firewall from here back, and there's no real clearance behind them. Just, you know, good luck, man. I used every kind of ratcheting wrench and everything I had to get to these. I ended up getting to all of them from this side over here, reaching through here. It's the only way I could get them. You just got to get down in there and bear hug that motor. Put your arms down in there. You're going to scratch them up a little bit and bruise them up, but that's the only way to do it. That's what I had to do. So, now let me show you if we can see it here. So clear back here, you'll see that little arm right there. And then back in here, that little arm comes out to this little, there's a little lever that hooks to on the back of this intake runner. Alright, and what that does is it operates some little thing inside the intake manifold to adjust the airflow or something. And so those little plastic clips you see, well, there's one of those over here, and it usually breaks and falls out, and the rod falls out. So it can't control this airflow, and that's what's causing your rich and lean codes. So I'm going to try to replace all of these plastic clips everywhere if I can. Get to them easy enough. Just have to crawl back in there and do it. But you don't want to tear this thing down. You know, you don't want to tear this thing down and not replace those probably, because they all have that common failure. And you definitely don't want to tear it down and then not even know about that or know to check that, put it all back together. It's a pain in the butt, and find out you still have a lot of the same issues. So I thought it was important to make a video about that, and we'll put a link below to the video I learned it from on YouTube. You know, I just was looking for how to get this upper intake off, get to those back 3 bolts that are buried like clear back in here. And I saw a guy's video and he had the same problem, and I was like, oh, I better check mine when I get mine off. And sure enough, that was it. I want to give credit where credit's due. If it's not something I discovered on my own, if somebody else's video, well, go check out his video and give him a thumbs up, you know. Yeah, that's what I'm about to do. Once that's done, getting the Pontiac going next. I still have it. I'm still going to fix it. What's been the holdup so long here really has been that I cannot get the motor with my engine hoist. It just won't extend far enough to get that motor lined up just right and sit in there and made it up to the transmission. So, I mean, I just kind of gave up and put it in the garage. But I work at a steel processing warehouse. So this is the... Here, let me get this out here. This is the piece that goes in the Harbor Freight engine hoist here, right? And this is a piece of 6mm square steel. And my guess is that's a couple millimeters thick, which is okay. Now my company only sells steel in American standard sizes, so this is a piece of 2-inch 3/8 wall, 2-inch outer. Nice big strong piece, but that slides inside this other piece perfectly. So I'm going to slide that in there. I'm going to drill another hole that goes through both of these pieces so that I can put a bolt through there, and then I can extend the reach of this lift out. Now that's a bad idea if you're lifting something real heavy, because the more leverage you put out there, the more weight is actually going on that hydraulic rim of the hoist. So you're going to derate your hoist pretty quick. That engine's only about 400 pounds, and it's a 1-ton engine hoist. So I should be able to lift it just fine, even extending it a little. But if you're doing a big block Chevy or something, I would not recommend doing that, because you might just end up dropping an engine if that cheap Harbor Freight hydraulic ram goes. So it's all tucked over there in the corner. It's covered with like Honda parts and everything else. See, I'm going to clean this all up. I got an extra radiator for a Chevy Venture here. I don't know. It went to the junkyard before I got to put it in. So, I'll get with this. I just thought that it'd be worth mentioning if somebody else has got this particular problem on this. Even though it's a really common engine, there's just relatively few videos about it. So I thought I would do one as well. Alright, I'll talk to y'all later. This is Tom, your Free Will Prepper.